Dude, these are the most ADD conversations that I've ever had in my life. I love every single one of them, so don't
Yes.
worry, don't worry. This is the coolest people I know podcast, and out of all of the coolest people that I know, um, this person is in this list because of one of the coolest periods of my life, and that was when we traveled together in a band, and and I would say it's probably one of the greatest times in all of music history. Not that we were
Wow.
one of the bands in that, I would say, but we got to be a part of that. And so this is David Henry. He is a worship arts pastor at Fountain Life Center in Burlington, New Jersey. Hanky, welcome.
Oh man. Yeah, I haven't been called that nickname in like 20 some years, bro.
Do
So
you
that
remember
just
why
took
you
me
got that
back.
nickname?
Because my last name's Henry, and the Gillot brothers started calling me Hank, and it just devolved from there. Like everyone from our team, it was Hanky, and then but like I had joined. Speaking of bands, I joined another band during this time, and they all started like taking that name and spinning it off. So there was Hanky Panky, there was Hanky Poo, it went back to Henry, but then it was Henricus because Gladiator was big at this time.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And so all of the Greek um fake names, that like the way that you can Romanize Henry started happening. But yes, you, Doug Black, are the Mark Hoppus to my Tom DeLonge, because you've been the one that stayed
Oh.
constant the whole time.
I feel so honored to even be compared to Mark Hoppus in that. Um, so thank you for joining in
Yes,
this conversation today. You reminded me prior to us recording that
yes,
the church you're at now, Fountain of Life Center, we played a show there back in
yes,
2000, and
yes.
reminded me that that's the show that we got lost coming back from. It was
Y-
a February night.
It was a
Um,
February night.
it was February 16th. I can tell you that exact date, February 16th,
Of course you
2000.
can.
Well, I will tell you exactly why. And I don't know if you know this whole story. So that night, um, I don't remember if you got us lost or what, but very specifically, I remember the other two guys in the band, Dave and Adam, were trying to get specifically me and my not yet then girlfriend, Kelly,
Hmm.
lost, who was sharing a vehicle with me. I drove the biggest car because
She was there. She was there. Ah, okay.
it
Yes.
was
Stop.
that night that Brady Treat, who you joined a band with,
Yes.
ended up catching her and I holding hands underneath the table, which, listen, Bible college, that was scandalous.
It wasn't scandalous, but it was newsworthy, because it was the equivalent of like the soft launch for the Gen Zs now, where like they have social media to do this. In back in the stone ages of the early 2000s, you had to be an eyewitness. And so Brady Treat, um he was the original Twitter, in that he saw you, took a mental image, and then told all of us, was like, Doug Black and Kelly, Doug Black and Kelly. They were holding hands. It's like,
That's great.
but
I didn't realize he spread the rumor.
I mean, like, I don't know how, like, I think it was literally to like four of us. It was like me, Matt Ortiz, Mike Sorcinelli, and then I think Jen Greco was there. And we were all like, oh, no, no, no. Jen wasn't there yet. She wasn't, she's not as old as us. So she wasn't actually at the school yet. Um, Maybe it was Ricardo. I don't know. We're all old.
I
What
was
is
gonna say
life?
it's so funny. This conversation right now is very taking a very niche audience. Like,
Yes. If you were born between the years of 1978 and 1982, you'll understand all of these pop references.
and went to a very specific college and were there on that night. But it was funny that night that we got lost was the
Hmm.
night that my now wife Kelly and I decided to start dating, and it was because
That's
we
so
got
cool.
lost and had a long conversation because we were trying to figure out how we got back, and it was before the time of smartphones, and yeah, so I have you to thank for that. So thank you.
I mean, I will indirectly accept that thank you. Um, I probably did get us lost just because I was familiar with how to get there um, going through Philly, like on the Schuylkill. I had not ever really done the Turnpike before, and so that was a whole new experience that Adam was not thrilled about. But a case of Mountain Dew later, he was happy, so it's all good.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So you've been playing in bands for what now, 25 years? You're now in a ministry role playing in bands. I saw on, social media this weekend that you just got done with a big worship kind of event. I guess tell me
Yeah,
a little bit of what your day-to-day looks like now in kind of um a professional musician role in a church.
sure. Well, so you said before, so my position is the worship arts pastor. Basically, I get blamed when anything goes wrong. Um, Trauma is real. No, it's in all actuality. So, everything from the worship team or band, depending on your context, vocals, musicians, um, anything regarding that, I'm over. Anything regarding production, meaning audio, lighting, video, live stream, that also kind of falls under my jurisdiction. And then uh, just recently, communications got added to my docket. So anything outgoing from the church in an email form or anything we put out on social media, that all in some way, I'm not the one that's making. I promise, I'm not the one making the content. That would be horrible. Um, you don't want that, but um, I have a hand in at least figuring out what's the best way to put something out there. Um, so that's my day to day. It's funny, like so as a musician, I thought getting into full time ministry that like the dream was going to be that I was going to listen to music all day and play guitar and drink coffee and show up on Sundays. And the big like realistically music actually playing music maybe takes up 5 to 10% of my time. Most of it is just people, um, which is I mean like flipping into the arena of church. It's working with and dealing with and moderating for and uh, conflict resoluting against people, and just that has that has been the job of a lifetime, just because I feel like all of the other jobs that I had, because I didn't always work in church part time. I was always volunteer or maybe by vocational contract, and then coming in full time. All of the job experience that I've accumulated in my over 25 years of vocation, it's coming into play now. So for instance, I spent like 10 years working in mortgage servicing in a call center. First getting yelled at by customers, and um, then listening to people get yelled at by customers and telling the customer service reps, this is how you could have handled it differently. And so through those 10 years, I feel like God was teaching me how to listen. Um, just the gift of not talking and listening and letting people say their piece, and not waiting for them to be done talking just so I can respond. Like that's probably one of the only reasons why I'm able to do this job, is because as I'm sure you know, with working with creatives, working with the coolest people you know, um, we all have big feelings and big insecurities and big goals and big dreams and sometimes unrealistic expectations. And um, so when you put all of us in a room together and there's no one listening, it can get very chaotic. So
Mm,
that's, if anything, I yes, music is part of my job, but the biggest, I never expected to have to work with people this extensively, especially because I'm an introvert. Let's be ADD for a second. I don't like talking to people really. I like you because I trust you, and I'm sure all the introverts listening to this are going to be like, I agree. I listen to podcasts because I don't like talking to people. Um, but yeah, it's so that's to sum that all up. I circled back to the church where your marriage all started, and we will see what happens from here on.
mm.
So
No, I love that. You're 100% right. I'm glad you called out kind of the fact of like music as a business, often becomes way less about like the creative side of things and way more about um, the business side of things and that kind of thing. And so I'm really excited to hear you talk about kind of like the people aspect of that. Um, I guess what's been kind of the biggest lesson you've learned about managing people?
mm,
Especially, and I especially want to hear on the creative side because I will say, as somebody who is a creative, like
mhm,
I tend to lead, besides building businesses, like I do dev and like development work on computers, and like one of the things that always drives me crazy is I want to build, I want to create, and like
yeah,
anytime somebody critiques it, I'm just like, how dare you talk so negatively about this beautiful thing I've created? Who cares if it's got bugs? Imperfections are what drives our society.
yes.
Like what's been kind of like the biggest lesson you've learned, especially in kind of leading creatives?
Um, that's a loaded question. I feel thanks for giving me the ginormous task of solving humanity, Doug.
Just because they're
Um,
listening to, and specifically name names and email addresses so we can send this to them afterwards.
yes. Well, if you go to no, no, let's not do that. That'd be bad. Um, as I'm sure your podcast listeners are aware, sarcasm is what makes the world go round. And so, if you at any point you're confused, maybe pause and just think about what we are talking about through that through that filter, and then hit unpause. Um, this is going to sound sarcastic, but I really mean it. I don't mean it to be. I think the biggest lesson I've learned in working with people is that I don't know what I don't know. Um, and just just because I don't know it doesn't make me wrong. But if someone does know it and I'm not trusting them to learn from them so that I do now know, then then that's my fault. It's not my fault if I don't know how to write code, but it is my fault if I'm in the room with someone who knows how to write code telling me I did it wrong, and I'm insisting, no, I know, like doubling down almost in an ego move and saying, no, I do know. No, I don't know. That's the whole reason why I'm sitting in the room with you, the code writer, in the first place. Um, and so there's I think the biggest lesson for any creative person, I'm creative, but I find myself being on the more logistical side of life. Um, I'm a logistician who has creative tendencies. Let's say it that way, where there are some people who are creatives who have moments of logic. I'm a Vulcan who occasionally is in touch with his feelings. Um, so, but
Great, that's perfect. What a perfect
yes,
comparison. I love that.
I I am data. I am data, the android who can have his emotions turned on and off by
Mm,
stimulus. Um, but no, like there. So because we have such big feelings and because we're so passionate about what we believe to be right. And those are great qualities because you want people who are going to be strong personalities because those are the ones who don't back down, um, especially when they are right. But there, I think every creative person needs to have that sometimes repeated lesson in humility of like, no, I may know a lot, but I don't know as much as this person I'm sitting across from. And so maybe I can put my ego aside and learn and or like not be the one to get the credit for it working, which is so hard because like I mean, just and that's not even with creative. Like I think human nature is we want the credit, period. Which is why, like going back to church world for a second, I'm going to mention CCLI, which is the copyright credit for uh, all things songwriting. Um, you you get a songwriting credit just for being in the room. Like if you Doug wrote a song and you're playing it or you're recording it, and I happen to walk in and I just listen to it while you make a change in your arrangement, I get a credit for that. That's how like not to like be super calling out or anything, but like that's how serious we are about getting credit, even if so like so especially when it comes to creative people and sharing the credit, or in some cases pointing the finger at someone else and saying, no, this was their idea. That can be the hardest thing for someone who's maybe not emotionally matured or seasoned, um, to the place of like, no, that was absolutely their idea. I think there's the difference between an artist mentality and a team mentality, in that an artist, everything is them. But when you have a team of artists, they have to learn to like, no, we have to learn how to defer. If this was that person's idea, let's give them credit, but let's do everything in our power to make sure that that idea actually works. And I think that's why the creatives that you see in the limelight, um, the ones that are sustained, they're the ones they're the quickest to point out like, and this is my COO, and this is my CFO, and this is my creative think tank, and like they're geniuses, and I wouldn't be here without them. And that's the biggest lesson, is learning how to not just share credit, but to defer credit. Um, because it's like if it's all on you, then the minute something goes wrong, that's the end of it, right? Um, I mean, we like to talk about Steve Jobs and his Apple was his idea, but no, there were people in that garage with him when they started, and he did eventually get them. He learned his lesson. He started giving them Wozniak and later on Cook. Like he started giving them credit, and so we got the polished image. But there were some rough times there, and it was solely you can probably trace it back to solely someone not willing to heed their ego and give credit where it was due.
Wow, that is powerful. And something that I think gets so lost on leadership, because you're so right. I think even to no matter what it is that you're leading, the second that you're like, oh, hey, I had my part in this, is the second that it feels like it becomes almost cheapened in the thing that you're building, whatever that might be, creative project, a business project, whatever that might be. I guess so. This is something it sounds like you very much embody. And frankly, knowing you, I can definitely see that. How
Do
do
you know me
you
though? No, I'm kidding.
I
Do
will say
you?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes, David Henry, David Allen Henry. I even know your middle name. I'm saying your whole legal name on the
Oh
internet.
shoot.
Yep. Um, I will say, uh, this is something you embody. How is it something that you help others learn to capture and start to do themselves?
Mm, um, So this may not be popular because I mean, and so you come from church world too, so you understand whether it's right or wrong, the pressure sometimes to put your best foot forward, so to speak, which is it just that's just code for like show off. Um, let's be real. Um, and like so we preach that perfection is not the goal, but then on Sunday mornings, that's all that we strive to and stress about putting in front of people, um, which is in and of itself, like that. I'm sure there are bigger deconstruction issues that we can unpack at a later point in time. But I think the big like in a world where you have to have a perfectly curated version of yourself out there, um, that pleases everyone, which is unrealistic. The best way for someone to learn how to be a team player is to let them fail. Um, so if like so from a band standpoint, so Touch the Road, I you guys recruited me because there was there was a three-piece band and you guys were already like killer, but you wanted to grow the sound. You wanted to have it be more full. You wanted it to be more interactive. You wanted to the band to grow with you musically, and in order to do that, that meant maybe bringing in some new blood. Um, and so I came in and like the first, I mean, I want to say the first 2 months of like practicing and playing shows was just me figuring out the style. Um,
Hmm.
and then, all right, so Doug's telling me to play these notes, but there was that growing of trust where it's like, how much are you willing to let me take your idea and run with? And then also the initiative on my part is like, okay, how much of his idea am I going to keep as the heartbeat of this, and how much am I going to add of myself to it? So like there's that mutual trust of like, does he understand the lifeblood of Touch the Road? Um, or like it's just like there's because I mean because bands have split up over less. Um,
Truth.
and so like I remember the first show. There was a brand new, like you guys literally you were writing a brand new song, and I kind of like came into the band as you were writing this song. And so the first time we did it, I tried something I thought was going to work based off of what we had gone over in practice, but because musicians don't practice well, I thought I knew what you were trying to do, and so I was like, I'll do it. And so it kind of worked, but it did clash. There was that clash of like, it's not quite what Doug wanted, and also like Dave Henry's figuring out who he is even as a musician beyond Trading My Sorrows, and Daryl Evans and acoustic guitar world. Um, because like up until that point, like I was playing acoustic. Like Touch the Road was my first experience playing electric guitar.
That's true. I remember that. Yeah.
So like it was very much like, you want me to you, you don't want me to strum and play the whole time?
Be loud. Play above the fifth fret. Yeah.
Yeah. You want me to wait for a dynamic moment and then come in? Oh. Um so there's that, like, but like, so that first show, it was absolutely and maybe like this was, it wasn't a fail moment, but it definitely was a like, okay, that didn't work quite the way we wanted. And so we came back to practice, and you as the band leader had the guts to tell me, hey, I liked what you did. I liked where it was headed. Can we tweak this? But there wasn't the micromanaging of like, you will play this part this way, exactly this for this first show, and you will like it. It was much more like, no, let's try it. And then we tried it and it kind of worked. And then the second time we had a show and played that song, it went so much better, because I had the permission to fail. Um, and regroup and learn from it, and also like pivot. And then we did that song 2.0, and it worked even better. And then because music is fluid, it's not a solid construct, like Taylor Swift fans believe. Um, you can uh,
Oh man,
you
you
can
just
you
summoned
can
the
go
Swifties.
back. Yes, I did. Come for me. Um, you can go back, and you, as long as you're keeping the bones of the song, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you grow the muscle into. The song is the song. If it's a good song, it'll stand the test of time. How you tweak and arrange and add accidentals or this or that, and that's kind of an example. Like, I'm getting a little off topic, but that's even in church world. Like, a song is a song. Like, you and I both know the song "You Are Good" by Israel Houghton, and we've
Hmm.
heard 100 different arrangements of it in different languages and different styles and different like, there's CCM, there's gospel, there's Spanish Pentecostal, there's the metalheads, there's the acoustic, there's the people on the Casio keyboard that shouldn't be used for church worship. Like, we've heard all of that. But the reason that song has stood the test of time is not because it was any kind of style, or it wasn't anyone's brainchild. It was because, like, at the core of it, it was good. And so, however you dress it up, the bones were good, however you develop the muscle around it, it's still the song. And so it doesn't change. And so, like, but going back to the question of, like, the beggars, the how would I teach team player? And it's not for everyone, but, like, part of it is like giving someone the rein, and the leash, the room on that leash to, like, make mistakes. Because it's not the end of the world. It really is not. Unless, of course, like, the sound system burns down and then the church has to get evacuated and stuff. That's different. Um, I can say that because my church burned down.
I do
Um,
remember that,
so
and
I
I'm
can
glad you recovered.
well, we process through trauma with humor.
That's
Uh,
if that isn't the most millennial thing that's ever been said, right there.
yes, yes. I'm a millennial. Give me a pot of coffee and a Friends DVD, and I can conquer the world.
No, but that's a really good point that you make. I mean, like, a lot of times we help others learn by encouraging them through the failure of all of
Yeah,
that. Like, and not even just the failure, but like the growth of that. Like, you don't grow any other way except through failure.
yeah.
Like,
And
you know,
you can't expect that, like, when it comes to training and learning, like, there's not always going to be a controlled environment. Like, I mean, and I'm sure you've learned this just in business and developing certain projects, and, like, there's only so much that you can throw at a concept in a controlled environment. Because even if you're throwing every scenario that you can think at it, for every scenario that you can think of, there's at least three more that it's solely because you are not thinking of it. And
right?
so, like, there is no perfect alpha beta test release scenario. We're experiencing that with iOS 26 right now, Apple. Um, where it's like, we think that we get all the bugs out there, and then we put it, like, but that's also art, like, and progress. Like, you do everything you can with what you had, and then you put it out there, and then going back to, like, taking credit or ego or taking the blame or whatever, like, letting someone outside of that controlled environment tell you what's wrong with it, so that, because that's the only way it's going to get better.
Mm, mm. Well said. So I appreciate your heart for leadership. And it's always exciting to talk to somebody who's kind of in that world long enough to recognize the sense that creativity needs boundaries in order to make
Yeah.
it happen.
Yep.
So,
Yep. Creativity plus objectivity makes the world go round.
Oh, snap. If that, oh, there's our TikTok clip right there. Right there. Hold on. Everyone get
Trending.
room tone. Say that again. I need to
Uh,
set you up again. No, that was great. No, well said. I like that's so absolutely true. And I think, because a lot of times when we're growing up as kids, when we're first kind of, especially in like the band world, when we first
mhm,
set out to kind of start up a band, it's like, oh man, we're going to be up on stage and we're going to take over this world forever.
mhm,
We're going to be, the lights are going to be shining on us. But like, you're right. Like, that's like 10% of it.
yeah,
The other 90%, if you're lucky, is interviews, it's writing, it's taking care of the hard things. If you're probably the 60% of those who kind of like the day job,
yeah,
musician workers. It's the administrative piece, it's taking care of teams, it's that kind of thing. It's very much like what you do, which again is extremely important and needs to be managed throughout the day. So
yeah.
that's all.
And I mean, especially when it comes to like professional musicians, whether it's inside of church, outside of church, like just whatever. Like there's one last thing is that like you're getting noticed because of what you can do musically, but make sure that you've developed yourself as a person to be able to handle the other 90% of the job that's going to be put in front of you, because most people don't know how to articulate. Like all they know is like I love what I see of you in that 10% of your time, and in their like if it's all part of the interview process where it's like, but if I don't know how to ask questions about you, Doug, in your practice disciplines and in how you manage time and in how you work with deadlines and like how you're going to work with a team to get the objective done and not let the project fail even though you did your part. Like there's part of it where it's like, no, like we do. There's no I mean, based off of how the Eagles played this past yesterday, like there's no, you can be a star on a losing team or you can be a winning team.
Hmm.
And it's like, so like, yeah, like you may be good for that 10% of the time, but if you don't have the personal discipline to then be aware of what's happening and then also, like going back to teamwork, but like jumping in, like hey, I noticed that this phase of the project it's not where it should be. I've I have some free time. Can I help you? Because like it just goes back to like, okay, is it about my time to shine or is it about us actually winning?
Yeah. No, that's well said. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
We're going to switch gears. As part of this, we always do a question from a hat because we want to get to know you and what drives you. And there's nothing more terrifying than random questions that are
Yes.
attached to a wheel, some of which are serious, some of which are, I don't even remember what's on this wheel. So we're
I
going to take
love
a look.
I love that this is a literal wheel. I thought you were being metaphorical.
Oh no, I have nothing but literal wheels. Ooh, we had this question on another episode. This wheel is broken. I love it. What's a lie you believed for way too long?
Mm, uh, I have several wrong answers I want to give, but I don't want to get in trouble. Um,
This is G-rated. There are children who
yes,
are watching,
this is G-rated.
I assume.
Um, the lie I believed for the longest, the lie I believed for too long is that I can do anything, that I can do anything I put my mind to.
Hmm,
Um, and like so you and I grew up. We are considered elder millennials or zennials because of when our birthdays were in comparison to the cutoff for Gen X. But like we grew up Gen X. Let's just be real. We had the corded phone in the kitchen that we could walk all the way upstairs to our bedroom to talk to someone. Like we had Atari. Um, we had 8-track cassettes and
right.
vinyl, and like we had all the stuff before it was cool the third time.
Right. We were
Um,
ignored enough by our parents that we could run the streets,
yes,
but still left with enough crippling debt and anxiety that we won't ever be
yes,
able to retire.
yes. I think we are old enough to remember hearing parents starting to tell their kids while we're in high school that like you can do anything, like, and the parents, teachers, everyone. And it was, I don't think it was ever meant to be a lie. It was meant to be a motivator. And so like, like
Mm.
I'm not, I'm not, I'm not pooping on a whole generation of parenting. But I think the lack of clarity and definition and constraint as far as what you were trying to say screwed up a whole generation, which is why we all now process through trauma. Um, but the so I can do the lie of I can do anything I put my mind to is it's it's so close to being true. Like I can get a lot accomplished if I put my mind to it. That's a better way of framing it. I can get a lot of stuff done. I can get a lot of things finished. I can do a lot of projects. I can I can win with people. I can do a lot if I put my mind to it, or at least I can be like I think the best way I'm processing this all on the fly. I feel like the best way to reframe that statement is I can I can I can be prepared to make educated decisions if I put my mind to it, because there are so many things in life that are on they're left up to chance, or they're left up to God's will, depending on how you look at that, or they're just left up to things just happen. And like you can't walk into a room thinking that you're unbreakable, because you are. But you can't be so crippled by fear of making a mistake that you don't walk into the room. And so
Mm.
um doing everything that you can to prepare yourself for scenarios of what could happen, I think is that's a healthier mindset versus being I'm gonna accomplish everything I set my mind to. Well, some people they're gonna hear that and they don't get into the college that they wanted to, solely because like no one ever told them that's not the right lane for you to focus in. Um, or like you're not going to get that project done because you don't have the resources to accomplish in the time frame that you set. Like there's so many. Part of this is just expectation of yourself, expectation of other people, expectation of how time works and how quickly you're able to get things, assets into your hands to then release it into that project. Like there's so many factors that we can't control, but it's all covered in that blanket of that blind motivation of I can do anything I want if I put my mind to it. Or I can, but it's more so like no, I can do a lot and be prepared for a lot if I set my mind to it.
Mm. That's a great reframe. And so it's so important for us to be able to reframe it that way, because otherwise you either set your expectations so high so that when the inevitable failure comes, your life feels like
Yes.
you've crashed out and whatever. Or like you said, you get so afraid you never even enter the room. And how many of us know somebody who is just that person who has never taken that step,
Yeah.
and just lives crippled by fear. Wow, that's so
Yeah.
good.
I mean, think of, and like this is half joking, but like think of Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite. Well, I could have won state. I could throw this ball over a mountain. Like there's there's no, so, someone has to be on it like that, and maybe that's our job as meant as people at our position and vantage point now, working with people coming up behind us. We have to help them be realistic about like what they're actually capable of, but then help them open their eyes to like the bigger picture of like, no, you are not going to be the next Michael Jordan. But have you like, but if this is the lane you want to be in, there's other, you can be involved in this sphere and still make a difference and still accomplish great things. But like you physically don't have, like I'm not going to be the next Michael Jordan. I'm 5'7". I'm not that athletic. Um, I'm pretty sure I have asthma that was never diagnosed. We don't know. There's a bunch of things. Um, but like, but as far as being a team leader and as far as taking what he applied in his championship runs and all that stuff, and that's I'm sure the younger generation is going to come at me for saying Jordan and not LeBron, but whatever, more championships, more consistency. Anyway, um, there so it's there's we have to be realistic with the expectations that we're putting on ourselves too.
Mm,
Like it's like I'm like I mean there's a fine like I'm not saying don't dream. Like we have to be able to dream because that's how we set goals. But also like be once you put those goals on paper, then be realistic about how quickly that's going to come to fruition, how much effort it's going to take on your part. You're not going to be the next Blink 182 solely by going to shows and then like hanging around and hoping to get noticed. No, go like I mean, now that's not a high goal to strive for, but because it's a lot of lowball humor and bad guitar playing, but um, making it in the music industry is so much more than just getting noticed.
mm,
There's being able to you get noticed for the one thing, and then you have to follow up and stay relevant with the second and the third and the fourth, and that's how longevity is built because you're consistently delivering, and in order to consistently deliver, that means kind of getting over yourself and how great you think you are and look around at who's helping you while you're there.
mm. No, that's good. Well said. Maybe not Blink 182, but maybe Travis Barker. Like
That's fair. That's longevity.
because if you look at like if have you read his autobiography or biography? I don't remember which, but like if his story is incredible because I mean like
Yeah,
he basically started drumming on the street and like he would practice till his hands were bleeding. And like he would practice and then play in five bands and like every
yeah,
band had a little bit different style and that kind of thing and like that kind of level of work ethic.
yeah.
So,
And also, and being willing to do the unpopular thing because he was in I think he was in marching band, right?
oh, I don't remember.
I mean, I know I know he has some like traditional training that
Yeah.
he then took that training and threw it through the wood chipper of multi-stylistic impressionism, and then all of a sudden, you know, that's why, and I mean, and that's why a band like Blink 182 is where they are, not necessarily because of their songwriting and stuff, but because their drummer was having some personal issues, and he was very good at that one lane that they were in,
Mm,
and he for for personal reasons he had to not, and then Travis comes in and he started opening up like what okay like this lane of music doesn't have to just be this lane of music. We're
right.
musicians, we can do this. And it became like it became a game of like, all right, well, like how can we uh how can we incorporate as many different things while still being recognized for this one thing.
Mm, yeah. No, well
What
said. We always close out with the same question. Um, and it's a question that's meant to drive to the core of us. And
mm,
so, what's a question that you've always wanted somebody to ask you and you've never been asked before?
mm. um so this may the mm, I think so. This is getting back into like the church realm of things. Um, because we walk by people in the hallway and we see them and it's like, how are you feeling? How are you doing? And like there's well, even I mean even outside of church, like, oh, I'm great, I'm good, I'm doing whatever, I'm here. We've gotten creative with how we say how we're not doing well. We're just like, I'm here. I'm making it through it, or you know, my favorite way of saying it's a hard day is like, well, there's no bad days, there's just hard days. Um, but like I wish the question that someone would ask me is, no, but how are you feeling really? Because
Mm.
like we don't take the time, and I'm guilty of it too. Like it's life is busy, and we don't we I see you on the street or I see you at Wawa, like, oh, hey, so good to see you. How you doing? Um, and sorry, just one minute. How are you doing? And you give me like the answer that you want me to believe. Um, because God forbid we're vulnerable, especially in checkout at Wawa, because who knows what's happening. Um,
Mm.
but like this, it's that follow up of like, no, but how are you really? And I wish that's something that we could all be more aware of. Just not not to be nosy or anything, but it's just like they're, especially when it comes to friends and family, and we take surface level answers because it fits into our time frame of, okay, cool, because I need to go back to my car because it's running and my coffee's getting cold and I'm already late for work. And I
Mm.
wish there was more awareness um as a whole to just be like, no, but how are you really? um I wish people had asked me that. I mean, you know my story. We went to college together. I wasn't always this. This is not, I mean, 20-year-old, 19-year-old David Henry was is not at all this person that 20 plus years of life and church and world experience have made me. Um, and I have to wonder, uh, would life how differently life would have unfolded, and how long certain things would have taken to unfold if we had all just taken the time to ask that question, like, no, how are you really? Like, because
Mm.
you're 18, you're 19, you don't know. You just you're just you're just parroting answers that you've heard people that are older than you say.
Yeah.
And like, not to be like super deep about it, because this is about the coolest people I know. But I mean, the coolest people I know are the ones that care about the person and not just what I can do for them. So
Mm. That's a good word. So I appreciate you sharing so vulnerably.
yeah, man, I appreciate you for starting this podcast, because where else am I gonna get to bond with a college friend about a band that we were in where you met your wife?
We need to keep the convo going. So,
Yeah.
but you are literally one of the coolest people I know, and I appreciate your time today. Appreciate you sharing. So, from your
Well, I
leadership
appreciate
experience
that
to
vote.
personal.
Thank you for that vote of confidence. There are
Always, my friend.
there are staff members here that would say otherwise, but that's just because they, well, it goes back to, like, not everyone's going to like your decisions, but it's, yeah.
You
When they
tell
see
them
it
I said
unfold,
they are wrong.
Doug Black says you're stupid. No.
Hmm. Oh no, it's on recording. I am saying they are
Yes.
dumb and they are wrong.
Yes. Yes. Well, this is your TikTok moment. Is just that right there. Today,
If
today are
you're
the
listening
coolest
to
people
this,
I know. Doug Black thinks you're
you are dumb.
stupid.
Yeah. Here, hold on one sec. We got to get it clean. You are dumb and you are wrong.
I received
Okay,
that.
good. Not you, not you. All right, I'm going to shut off this recording before it goes crazy. Thank you again, Dave. Appreciate you so much.
Thank you, sir. Love you. Appreciate it.